the March. It was TFC Mad Monday Race Series, the high categories. It was out and back again, which is it's about 4. Start off in the desert pens, head out through the desert, go back up through the Col du Saddle, and on the rise up towards Titans Grove, hang a left, follow that all the way down across the dusty section, down the switchbacks. I think they're called I'm not sure if they're called, just before the Italian village, and then there's the longer of the two sprints, which is over one of the bridges, and then it was then out towards the volcano, on the volcano bridge, and then it was around the volcano, up KOM volcano, down back the same way they came in, and then you head back up towards Zwift KOM. Again, it's I think that's the longer, yeah, that's the longer way up, and then back down, back onto the desert, and then back to the finish. The Fuego Flats sprint, I think it is. So so last night I used my wife's account just so that I had somebody in the same then do a fan view of. So I'm just going to hit play on this whilst I'm just talking over it. So there was A high cat and A low end cats, and that was the same through all the cats yesterday. The reason I went for the A pluses was because there were fewer riders that were actually in there. In fact, there was less than 40, including myself obviously, but there was less than 40 other riders as that hit zero. Looking at mine, so I mean this is just out of the pens, and this was a fairly standard start, if I'm honest. I've muted with the audio because there was a little bit of cussing and banter at the beginning before the pen drop. There wasn't a lot of talking at this point. So as you can see, I'm pulling about 4.5 watts per kilogram, and I'm pretty much able to stay with this majority of the desert. I do fluctuate a little bit, and I've spoken to some of my teammates. I'm not absolutely all me. I think some of it could be the watt bike atom, because I do tend to find that it slows down just unnaturally, and you can see some of that in the figures. So I'm not in the full wind there, so I'm in a draft. You can see that I'm in a draft, and I'm just pulling 4.1. Now I've just dropped to 3.5 watts per kilogram. If you look at the power output on the left upper, I've gone 303, 333, 288. So it just keeps dropping, just randomly down to, you know, it's as if it's misreading. There you go. I've gone 254 all the way down for and again look, 244. 311, 291, 255. So, and I know that the output of that, if you pick the 3 second or the instant, they're going to be slightly fluctuating. So I think the first question is just anybody else that gets that experience on the watt bike atom, where they're constantly rising and falling for no particular reason. I mean, my cadence is pretty solid. I'm doing about 94, 95. I think by the time I've got to the front here, I then realise that I don't want to be on the front, which is where most people don't want to be unless they're kind of super fast. And I slow down. And a lot of my art riders, I think at this point, when we had about 4 or 5 riders actually on the front, is where I did one of the screenshots. Because it's very rare actually that you see all the art riders together. But on this one we had some strong riders. There was Gaz Whitten who pulled some good work at the front. You had Matt Hall, there was Scarlett Parker in there as well, and Danny Priest. There was a couple more. There was I don't know his first name, Kino. There was Kino in there. So there was a fairly decent representation actually out of the 39 other riders, including myself, from just the art team. Which, to be honest with you, I think is to the detriment. We beat them on the winter mini series, and we beat them on the last full series as well, just by the sheer numbers of riders that we've got. So here we are. We're now about 2 kilometers in. I'm just going to skip the video forward slightly till I get to about 8 or 9 kilometers, I think. And I'm just going to skip forward a bit more. I'm just playing this back through Twitch, so there might be a bit of a delay, so just maybe a little bit further. Okay, maybe a little bit more. Right, so this is 8.5 kilometres. This is coming through the little village, I forget what they call it, is it called Saddle Springs or something like that? So in fact, I don't think we're quite there yet. We're just on to see the green appearing up on the mini map on the top right. So as you can see, check out my my watts per kilogram there. So I'm putting out 4.2, which is 310 watts, 4.5, which is 321, 4.2, which is 318, and then let's just see if it drops off again, because at this point I'm pretty much in the middle of a nice draft. Full protection there. I shouldn't really be pedalling too easily, because it's still a fairly strong pace that's going. You can see that the other riders are pulling 5s and 4.9s, you know, just to get on the front again. So as we're coming round, 5.7 me, 4.7, 3.4, 3.6, 4.5, 3.7, 3.3. So that's all consistent with just easing up and trying to keep in a good shape. And there we are. We've pretty much got one, two, three, four. There was another couple, so there's 4 of the outriders. Let me just skip just a little bit more. Right, so this is the start of the rise, and this is where I think my watt bike struggles. So I'm just shy of 10 kilometers in. No, there's probably a third of my trainer difficulty on at this point, right? But I'm putting out, there you go, look, 6, 4.9, 5.6, 5.5, 5.4, 6.5, 7.2, which is all consistent with what I did last night. I was really trying to stay with that front group. But you can see I was already a breakaway, look at the front. I mean, you've got some strong legs, don't get me wrong. You've got some 7s, some 7.9, some 6.8s, but I'm still pulling 6.9. I just went, there's a 6.2, a 6.5, a 7, a 6, and then it just drops off to 3.7, just randomly. And they're doing, if you look at Gaz Witten, 5.5, 5.3, 5.8, 5.5, 6.1. So he's within sort of like 0.6 between top and bottom. And now this is where things really start to come unstuck for me, because I've got 7, 6, 2.8. I mean, 2.8 from 7 with no change in cadence. It kind of tells me that there might be something wrong with my watt bike, and I might have to ring watt bike up and ask them. There isn't any explanation. I can tell when I feel tired and I'm doing rides, and most of the time I do slow my cadence down. That's my first indicator that actually my legs are getting tired. My legs don't feel tired generally. So now I'm going down the hill, and I'm a lighter rider. I'm 77 kilograms, so I don't expect to tank down the hills. And I'm super tucking there just to try to get back in there. And luckily, because of the super tuck, and I think point, do I catch up with that front group? That front group taking it easy. They've all hammered it up that little bit of a hill. And at this point, I think, oh, I've come out of that okay, and actually said there to Mike on the comm, if you watch the race radio flashing up, you'll see me and Mike chatting. There you go. So me and Mike were chatting. He says, I thought I came out of that quite unscathed, because we were pretty much back to the front of the pack again. In fact, I think at one point, me and him were at the front of the pack. You'll see Mike coming in view very shortly. In fact, there he's on the left-hand side. He's got the orange headband just coming in to where the ride-ons is written. Now, the next point for me where I completely lost it, so coming up out of the underground tunnels, again, not too bad. We get to the top of that, and then it's, I think that was a left turn. The left turn at the top of this one. I'll just skip forward a little bit. Right, so this is coming through, I forget what this place is called now. Ocean Boulevard, I think it is. Right, so coming through Ocean Boulevard, and then we start to go onto these switchbacks. I'm not sure whether these are ESs. Can never remember what each of these ones are called. I know that they're quite sticky when you get around the corners anyway. So coming into this, again on the front, 5.6, 5.4, putting in over 300. If you look at the watts in the top left, over 300 there again. Look, so I'm staying with it. I know that Gaz Whitton leaps into the front on this. Sorry, that's just buffering. Right, so we've lost that. I'm going to have to click to reload that. So I got to 1 hour 9. Right, so I'm just going to click forward if I can. Not 1 hour 9, it's 32 minutes or something. Right, here we go. So we're back in again. Okay, now it was actually pretty much here where I got dumped. So we're coming up to the first prime of last night's race, which was the sprint through the back of. So turn around the corner. I always get thrown off to the right hand side. Don't ask me why. I kind of get chucked out. Didn't too bad on that one. But here, look, we're starting to get a bit of an incline, and I'm putting out 5.5 watts, 4.8, 6, 4.8, 4.9. But I'm not getting anywhere. Everybody else is getting away. I mean, they're all putting out, you know, 5s, 5.9. That's the point there where I lost it. That's where the race was lost. 17.1 kilometres. Just at the top of that hill, going down the other side, completely spinning out, 128, 120 pm. Just could not get back on the back of it. Tried my best. You'll see in a minute, it says close the gap. Tried closing the gap a little bit. I think it is. I think no, I can probably catch them. They start to disappear off again, and as soon as you start to see just a blur of tyres, that's it. And I think at this point, gone. And I never saw that pack again. That was it. There was just one guy that was behind me, which was S. Kenny, and J Rhodes is obviously this one that you're watching, just obviously back in there. So I'm there's got to be a logical reason why, and I race quite often. There's got to be a logical reason why I've consistently been dumped at the back of races like this, and I don't think it's all necessarily down to the fact that I'm just an A-cap rider, and these were mostly, well, I think some of them were mostly A pluses, but I mean that's it. You know, I lost 17.7 kilometres before that sprint. I didn't have a chance to get onto anything after that. So what I did is I jumped off the bike and I just changed. There you go, and I changed the fan view to Scarlet, so at least we could follow one of the riders. Right, ideas, thoughts. I don't know. Is it worth me getting in touch with Watbike and asking them for advice? Can they, you know, will they review some of the issues that I've had and say, well, actually, you know, it might just be down to you. It might be down to your bike. If they come out, I'm going to have to leave the bike for 72 hours before and after they've been. Is it going to cost me anything? I don't know. It's about, you know, like they're at and playing up a little bit like that. Leave us a message below, and obviously I'll try and take some ideas from you. But my sense is that this is either going to do one or two things. It's going to put me off racing on Zwift forever, because there's no fun in taking part in races, and it's not all about winning, and it's not all about coming last or second last in every race that you try to compete in. I know that quite a few of my team have got some in real life experience, and you know, one of them's a professional triathlon coach, and you know, he even has to take rests and stuff like that. I don't think I'm overtrained. Well, I don't think I'm undertraining and over racing anymore. I've cut down on the amount of racing that I do, and I've done quite a lot of long distance stuff as well, which is more about endurance rather than you know, tempo and above. So drop your ideas, share your ideas in the bottom, and hopefully we'll get to the bottom of it. All right, that's it. I think my connection's dumping a little bit, so gonna have to leave.